The Disney Sunday movie will continue after these messages.
Ladies and germs, the one, the only. You're on.
Batteries not included.
M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. Well, what do you know?
Swallow this.
Disney Plus has existed for a week now. It has taken over the world. You might as well go home, all you other streaming services. We don't need Netflix. We don't need HBO Max. It's only Disney. They have your soul. Everything's done. Disney owns everything. It is the end. But for the moment, I think I'm just going to enjoy all the content that they're giving out. Disney Plus wasn't holding back. They really did release just about everything that Disney has ever really made. Anything that anybody would really care about. There's definitely some movies here and there that aren't on the service yet. Some of the newer movies that won't be showing up until a couple months from now. But for the most part, I'm surprised by just how much is on there. There were some TV shows that I figured they would never care to put on the service for maybe fear of having to clean them up a bit, because I'm sure a lot of them are not that great of quality all these years later, film quality wise, not really the content of the show quality wise, but then again the content of the show might not be very good either. But they really went for it. We have old shows like the Little Mermaid series, Tailspin, DuckTales, along with some of the more recent shows like Phineas and Ferb, Wizards of Waverly Place, and Hannah Montana. And we also have a bunch of the new movies, a bunch of the Marvel movies, all the Star Wars movies, and I'm impressed. They really went for it, and from what I've heard, anything that shows up on Disney Plus is on there for the eternity of the service. So anything that's added in the future will also stay on there. But of course, along with that comes the censorship portion of it. Now, there was some fears from the beginning that Disney was gonna censor some old cartoons, like The Crows and Dumbo, or maybe the scene in Peter Pan where they're singing What Makes the Red Man Red. My stance on censorship has always been the same, which is there's no point in censoring it, just let people watch what they want to watch. But to an academic point, I don't think a lot of this stuff should be held in as high of regard as it originally was. Or in any case, you should at least mention the problematic issues with said product before praising said product. I thought they were really gonna go crazy and edit a lot of this stuff out. But for the most part, everything has gone untouched. The Crows are there. The Indians and Peter Pan are there. That was the first thing I looked for, actually, that the morning the streaming service started. It was 5 a.m. Immediately I went to Dumbo just to see if the Crows were there. And they were there, and there was actually a disclaimer that said, scenes in this production may contain outdated stereotypes. Now, I mean, I have a problem with that phrasing just because of the may part, like it may contain it. It almost gives Disney no responsibility for how anybody feels. If there's some people who don't feel offended and they get mad about it, Disney can say, well, we said may, we didn't say there is offensive stuff in the said cartoon. And at the same time, by saying something like outdated, I don't really agree with that phrasing either. I mean, it wasn't okay then either. I know it was more accepted then, but that doesn't mean it's outdated. It just means that this cartoon may contain offensive stereotypes, or even then, this cartoon contains offensive stereotypes. Just say it. But just the fact that they even put the disclaimer there, and they're still putting stuff very carefully on Disney Plus like that, I think is an extraordinary step, because it's not censorship, but it is at least pointing out that some of the stuff they've made in the past is problematic. However, that kind of leaves a question for Song of the South, because now I wonder where it's at, because it seems like Song of the South could be on the service now. However, that doesn't mean all censorship is gone. For instance, the Michael Jackson scene in The Simpsons is just not on the service. As of right now, anyway. They might have changed that, but that had already been a controversy a couple months earlier where they decided to remove it off of some streaming services and sites where you can purchase the episode. To me, that's a whole nother discussion if you want to talk about, is it okay to have the Michael Jackson episode from The Simpsons? But my whole point is, that is censorship. That is taking something away that used to be there and now just acting like it never happened. To me, that proves that DVDs and Blu-rays are still not obsolete. I'm not calling it a groundbreaking achievement in animation television, but it's just kind of weird that with streaming services, they can do that. They can take things away. And yeah, right now it's offensive stuff, but how about stuff like, well, we don't want you to watch this said movie, so we'll just take it away. It kind of doesn't leave the viewer in control anymore. But it's not like Disney has really gone overboard with all the censorship, because they left the Simpsons movie untouched, which contains a scene making fun of Disney's company and a scene where Bart is showing his penis. They kept it in the movie, and I applaud Disney for that, because guess what? That exists. They put a disclaimer that says, hey, maybe not for kids. You parents should at least be paying attention to what your children are watching. I'm sure there's some scenes that have been cut here and there that we may not even notice, especially from older cartoons. But another big issue that has been the issue with missing episodes and with episodes being out of order. At least I feel like there's missing episodes. I went through Phineas and Ferb, and it took me a while to find certain episodes in the series. I did eventually find them, but they were all in the wrong order. Now, it's kind of hard to question what is the original ordering for a lot of these cartoons, because if you're going back to the 80s with some of these, like Darkwing Duck and DuckTales, the Little Mermaid series, you kind of have to wonder, well, okay, according to Wikipedia, this is the order of the episodes, but who created that order, and what are we basing it on? Are we basing it on the production order, or are we basing it on the order they aired in? And what really were the seasons? Sometimes seasons didn't go on as long as 22 episodes or 24 episodes like a normal TV show. Sometimes Disney shows would go on for 65 episodes for one season. I know Darkwing Duck has 65 episodes in its first season, and the second and third season both had 13 episodes. However, on Disney Plus, last that I checked, Darkwing Duck's season 1 has 78 episodes and season 2 has 13 episodes. Why would season 1 suddenly have 78 episodes and season 3 would just be gone? Well, if you take 65 and add 13, the 13 episodes that are either from season 2 or season 3, that's how you got 78 for season 1. So technically the order, that's out of order, right? Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, who is the deciding factor for these old shows and how many episodes were in each season and what the ordering is? We don't really know. We could create our own fan theories just based on the continuity of the series, but people have done that for years. Many shows have been released from the 80s and 90s that were aired out of order because they were produced a certain way, or they were just given to the distributor a certain way. And I never really know what we're supposed to follow. We have the fan theories, we have how the DVDs were released, but a lot of these cartoons were never even put on DVD. That's why I was surprised they even ended up on Disney Plus. And on top of that, we're basing a lot of this just on the order they aired in. Well, maybe Disney doesn't consider it that order, or maybe they're just taking the episodes from how they were shown on Disney Channel in reruns for many, many years and just uploading it that way. It seems like they're doing that. I don't really know what the measure and the quality control is as far as that goes. I mean, you got many series being uploaded all at once, and there can't be one Disney fanatic who just knows the order of every single television series in existence and knows what the episodes should be in order of. But it is kind of weird that Phineas and Ferb, of all things, is in the wrong order, and I'm pretty sure Recess is missing a couple seasons. I've heard issues with X-Men, I've heard issues with the new DuckTales series, and one of the main characters of Gravity Falls had a symbol removed from their cap because it's offensive in other territories. In fact, the show was originally shown like that in other territories, but in America we got it unedited. But now that this service is global, we're getting the global edit, essentially. And I mean, this is everything right now. We don't know in the future if there will be complaints about certain episodes from TV shows and certain scenes from TV shows or movies being removed. We don't know yet. That might end up happening. And the thing with the streaming service is the company has all the power. They can make whatever decision they want, and people may complain, and maybe sometimes they'll change it. But in the end, while it's awesome that we're getting access to a lot of TV shows we haven't really had legal access to in the last 20, 30 years, at the same time, I mean, enjoy it while it lasts, because you never know. You never know what might happen and what complaints might happen. It would be nice if they had a continue watching feature for a lot of TV shows. I like that the movies on Disney Plus don't automatically play while another one plays. They do that annoying thing where the credits go in the corner, but at least they don't continue playing something else automatically. They only do that for the TV shows, but the TV shows at least let the credits play out for the most part. Also, the skip intro function needs to be fixed a little. Every time I click it, it doesn't really skip the whole intro. Sometimes there'll be as much as 10 seconds left in the intro before the intro is done. So it's not really a skip intro button as much as it is let's skip into the future 30 seconds, I guess. I guess a lot of people also noticed that there were a lot of glitches the first day. Well, I will say, and I don't know if anybody else has proof of this, I really wish I would have screenshotted it, but remember when I said I watched Dumbo the first day just to go to the Crows? It was at 5 a.m., the very first day of the service, and after I did that, there was a continue watch feature for Dumbo. It said continue watching because I skipped to the very end of the movie. So, it existed. It did exist. But then when the glitches all started happening and things started to get a little more smoother, the continue watch feature was gone. So it's my theory that maybe that continue watch function is only gone because maybe that's what was causing all the glitches and the programmers just needed to turn off the one thing that was causing the major issues. But the continue watch function may not come back until a lot of TV shows' episode orders are fixed, if that's what they're actually doing, and when the Simpsons aspect ratios are fixed. As a lot of people noticed, the aspect ratio of the first couple seasons of The Simpsons are all wonky. Because, I mean, someone pointed out it literally ruins one of the jokes in the episode when they cropped it. So it's amazing how people were able to find that quick, and I'm glad Disney is getting on fixing that. As far as other quirks and issues with it, I don't know. I mean, right now I can't remove things from my watch list. I can only add them. For a while I was able to add double things to my watch list, like I could just keep going back to the same movie and adding it over and over again to my watch list. And then if I can't remove things, I really hope I don't accidentally add something twice. They uploaded the Star Wars that was tinkered by George Lucas for the 3D re-release that never happened in 2012.
I bet you have.
I thought it was a joke at first. Okay, Greedo says McClunky now before shooting Han, which I guess is meant to stretch it out farther because it's stupid that Greedo even misses from that far away to begin with and that there's so much time before they shoot each other, so maybe that was like the final line he says before Han tries to shoot him, and maybe McClunky is like, I don't know, a Corellian slur that Han doesn't enjoy, so he has more reason to kill Greedo. The point is, I can't believe, it's like, I think George is messing with us at this point. Overall though, Disney Plus has been wonderful. It kind of just takes the setup from Netflix. There's so many different options for stuff to watch. All the old Disney Channel movies that may or may not be good, but all the Disney classics, a lot of Disney shorts, which was really awesome to see. I wish there was a way to bundle them all up together. And of course, we have some new TV shows and movies. The Mandalorian. Wow, looks like an amazing budget for this TV show. It looks like the original movies. It doesn't look like it's made for TV. This looks like something you could see theatrically, spread out multiple episodes. It's kind of interesting to see a character who you don't see their face at all yet. And the effects on some of the additional creatures is amazing. The practical effects are really good, and come on, Baby Yoda. That was surprising and also really cute, and I'm glad that that's actually going to be somewhat a main character in the series, not someone who's just showing up for one episode. I like that the series is going to be less episodes than a normal TV show, because even 13 episodes can feel long at times, and this one's only 10 episodes. The episodes aren't all 55 minutes. The second episode was 32 minutes, and episodes aren't being uploaded all right away. So guess what? Unlike Stranger Things Season 3, which after it was uploaded on the 4th of July, and everybody only talked about it on the 4th of July, by the time I watched it, nobody cared about it anymore. The Mandalorian is uploading episodes weekly. I actually had a chance to take in the first episode and not just move on to the next thing. I actually got hyped for the next episode. That hasn't happened to me in years. First one came out when the streaming service debuted on Tuesday, but the next episode was uploaded Friday. From what I've been reading, it looks like the episodes are going to be uploaded every Friday, and there's not really any signal coming from Disney Plus as to when new episodes are there. On Friday, it was just, oh, new episode. I had no idea, so I had to go watch it. High School Musical, the series. The setup for this show isn't terrible. It's a mockumentary style show that features a character who becomes the musical teacher at the original school that High School Musical was shot at, which is interesting because it is a real high school. I've actually been there. But the music teacher shows up and she wants to perform the High School Musical as their fall or spring drama performance. She's obsessed with the movie, which could seem a little off, but then you find out she was actually in the movie as a background dancer. Then you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's a failed career, and she starred in one movie in her entire life, and now she just loves that movie too much and acts like she was the main star. Then we have a bunch of high school characters that are... It's not interesting. I really wanted to love this show because I do like the third High School Musical anyway. It's funny that High School Musical in a way kind of influenced Glee, and now Glee is being used as an influence for this new TV show. It essentially is Glee / The Office. But the mockumentary style isn't really present for most of it. Sometimes it seems like the camera's pretty steady, and at other times it doesn't even seem like it makes sense that there'd be a camera crew filming certain parts of the show. A huge love for High School Musical, but I can't tell if it's ironic or if they're pointing out the kind of cheesiness of the original or if they're maybe praising the original way too much. First of all, so far, it's only been focused on the first movie, which makes sense. I guess that was the one that made the biggest impact, but certainly isn't the best in the series. I also think it's weird that people are talking about it so much to the point that they act like High School Musical is still the biggest thing ever. This show itself, made by Disney, is kind of acting like High School Musical is a bigger thing than it is. I feel like this show either should have came out right after the original movies or maybe in another 10 years, you know, when my generation actually starts getting older and maybe more nostalgic for this movie. But right now, people like me who actually saw the original movies when they were released are probably not old enough to feel nostalgic for them yet, or at least have like an ironic nostalgia for them. The world, according to Jeff Goldblum, is exactly what you'd expect. It's Jeff Goldblum doing weird things. I don't mind it, but it's not a show that I was really completely focused on. I did start to play it in the background a bit. The first episode he talked about shoes. The second episode he talked about ice cream. It feels like one of those shows that you would see on Netflix, and you can see that influence all over it. That Disney wanted some kind of quirky show, something like the Chef Show that's on Netflix, and bring it to Disney+. Do I think it's going to be successful? Well, it's Jeff Goldblum. A lot of people like him. I've never been, one of his big fans, I guess, as in I don't get it. Like, I'm a big Bill Murray fan and I get his cult. I don't really get the cult of Jeff Goldblum as much. Forky Asks a Question is also pretty enjoyable. It's a bunch of shorts, but it's supposed to be a series, but they're not together in a series. They're all posted separately. So are they shorts? Are they what would have been on the Blu-ray had Toy Story 4 thrown them on the Blu-ray? And then we got the new Sparks shorts from Pixar. One of them is Pearl, which I actually saw on YouTube earlier this year. It's a really interesting short about a ball of yarn who's animated in a different fashion compared to everything else in the short. But it's a really good short, and I really enjoyed the animation and the humor on it. It's the first Pixar thing I can think of that dropped some swear words, which was a lot of fun. There was Smash and Grab, which is reminded me of WALL-E a lot because it's a futuristic movie with robots, but it was pretty interesting. And then we had Kit Bull, which was actually a 2D animated film with a very interesting artistic style, and this one broke my heart just watching it, honestly. It really pulled at the heartstrings. Float, which is about the floating baby, a watch. Kind of a funny concept, but it works effectively. There's an obvious metaphor, but like I said, it works so well. By far the best show on there is The Imagineering Story. This was a series that was directed by the same person who did the Pixar story, and it's incredible. It has so much behind-the-scenes footage. We have conversations with a lot of previous Imagineers and how much they adored Walt. The first episode ends with some of them crying. The person who designed the Matterhorn was able to finally sign his name inside the Matterhorn, and he hadn't all these years, and I thought that was such an excellent scene. We have the second episode, which actually focuses on what Roy Disney contributed to the original Disney World project and how it nearly killed him. He died 3 months later, and you know, you have a lot of people talking about how he put his heart and soul into that and enjoyed it, but it did pretty much kill him. You never really get much about Roy. He was always kind of on the money side of things, but I'm glad this documentary actually paid some tribute to him. They talk about Epcot, and then some of the creators, people who worked at Disney on a Disney production in this Disney-produced movie, in this Disney-produced episode, are talking about some of the stuff Disney did wrong after the fact, how they cut a lot of the employees, how they weren't happy with a lot of their decision-making after the fact, and it's really cool. I'm glad they're actually being quite honest in this short. It's about as much honesty as I saw in Waking Sleeping Beauty. Of course, we had 2 movies also released on Disney+. Lady and the Tramp was originally supposed to be in theaters, and then they decided to put it on Disney+, which is either the warning of, well, they thought it wasn't going to make money, or the movie really sucks. The movie doesn't suck. What they did with the live-action movie, it was a lot more tame compared to what they've done in other live-action remakes. They didn't try to make too many dumb changes. It didn't lose focus at times. It didn't try to overly extend the story to 2 hours. The movie is still under 2 hours. It's probably a little long at times, but it doesn't try to make the movie longer than it should be. The effects on the dogs don't look bad. It at times doesn't even really look like they're moving their mouths, which I would much more appreciate than trying to overly animate the dogs' mouths. It doesn't really do anything that necessarily makes it stand out. However, comparing it to something like Dumbo or even The Lion King, I'm amazed that this is the one that they decided to not put in theaters. It kind of makes sense because Dumbo did have Tim Burton behind it, so you couldn't really release it to a streaming service, I'm guessing due to contract obligations, but Lady and the Tramp is miles better than Dumbo, and I do think it's miles better than The Lion King also, but I understand why that was in theaters and why people will probably prefer The Lion King over Lady and the Tramp. But Lady and the Tramp is, to me, one of the more better live-action remakes. It doesn't really have a purpose, but it at least lives up to the time period it's in, and it makes certain changes that I enjoy. But then we have Noel, which is also supposed to be in theaters, and I was kind of excited for it. It has Anna Kendrick, Bill Hader, and it was awful. Like, absolutely awful. I don't know if Disney pulled it from the theatrical releases because it was a bad movie or because they thought it wasn't going to have a proper time to release it around Christmas, given that they always have Star Wars or upcoming Avatar movies coming out during that time. But Noel is garbage. It is so boring. They are killing every single actor who has charisma in this movie. Bill Hader just doesn't want to be there. Billy Eichner, who's usually a lot of fun, is just boring in this movie. The story is Elf. That's all it is. It's Elf. If you've seen Elf, you've seen this. It takes a lot of elements from Santa Claus and Santa Claus 2 as well. If you've seen those are by Disney. Go watch those. They're on Disney+. Watch those. It also takes elements from Enchanted. Go watch that. Seriously, this is just ripping off basically everything you've seen before. And Anna Kendrick, who also just doesn't seem like she wants to be there. There's not a lot of funny material here. The acting is just bored and dry, and it's such a nothing movie with effects that feel 10 years outdated. And I do kind of wonder how the live action movies in the future will turn out because, well, these movies were meant to be in theaters, so they had higher budgets, but then they were just put on Disney Plus, probably for release date issues and the fact that they maybe weren't as good as Disney was hoping, or maybe they didn't think they'd make money. But I wonder if in the future Disney Plus will have projects with this big of a budget, because these movies did look like they come from theaters. But it makes me wonder, is anything going to be specifically made for Disney Plus, or are they going to kind of keep picking at different studio projects that either shouldn't be released on TV or in theaters and just put on Disney Plus? So overall, I'm happy with Disney Plus, especially for that price. Enjoy it while it lasts, because I'm sure it'll go up eventually. I bought it for 3 years, so my theory is that after 3 years, they'll probably raise the price around the time that my subscription ends, and a lot of people's will end. So we'll see what happens. But if you haven't gotten Disney Plus yet, or you're trying to bum it off with someone else, you're a schmuck, just get it. It's real cheap, and you'll have a hell of a time. thanks to all my Patreon supporters. For only $7, you can get your own monthly movie review. Ask me to review anything I haven't already. There's also other perks like blogs, exclusive videos, and early access. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks so much for watching this video.